Why?
This is why.
Tennessee rock band Paramore is back with their sixth album, This Is Why. I have to admit, I have never been a huge fan of Paramore. See, when I was in high school, that was the early 2000s, and I was one of those kids who was like a hipster about emo music, in that I was listening to emo way before it became big and popular. So when this record label called Fueled by Raymond came around and started releasing things like Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, and Paramore, I felt like it was taking the genre of music that I liked and watering it down into this kind of like pop emo mush. And I didn't love it, but like, maybe I sort of prejudged it back then. I could admit that. I was a judgmental little teenager back then. Things have changed. Although I have to say, I went back and tried to listen to some of early Paramore, and it's just as bad as I remember. Although I will say, I do appreciate their most recent album, After Laughter, which I felt was, again, them trying to evolve past that kind of pop emo sound. It had more of an 80s aesthetic, which I guess appeals to the older version of me. It didn't blow me away, but I was anticipating what Paramore would do next, because I at least felt like they were finally taking their sound in a more creative direction. I think This Is Why is definitely an improvement on After Laughter. I especially love the continuation of the 80s motifs, except this time the sound is way more kind of like new wavy. Almost like some of the guitars and drum tones remind me of like Talking Heads and stuff like that. Of course, the album starts off with This Is Why, which is the title track and first single. It's an immediately captivating tune. I think like the themes on this song in particular are very relatable. We're sort of like inundated with social media constantly, and there's this sense of saying the wrong thing and having some sort of like online mob come after you. And this could be like seen whether positively or negatively, right? I think Hayley Williams, the lead singer of Paramore, is more on the progressive side of things in support of issues like Black Lives Matter and Me Too. And so even in expressing those opinions, getting the backlash from right-wing people, it still has that same feeling of like a mob is out there to get you. And I think we can all relate to that on some visceral level about like, not wanting to say anything out of turn for fear that all these people are going to start yelling at you. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't speak your mind. I think part of what's interesting about the song is it tries to wrestle with that dynamic, which is like, you want to and you should say some things, especially like I agree, Black Lives Matter, good. Me Too movement, good. The music on the song is also incredible. I love the punchy chorus. Like the guitars throughout this entire album, and let's be honest, the whole rhythm section is just punchy and in your face, and it's incredible. The second song, and also the second single, The News, keeps up this sort of like theme of paranoia, as well as those like new wave vibes. I think it's easy to think of about this song as being about the war in Ukraine, although there's many conflicts going on in the world, as Hayley sings about wars on the other side of the world. I think the song has more to do with just our feelings about the helplessness of not being able to do something while like digesting the information given to us by either, social media or the news, right? We're just being pumped full of a lot of information, and then it's hard for us to do anything with that information. And so you can even hear in the song like her struggling with like wanting to turn on or turn off the news, because you want to turn it on because you want to stay informed, but then you want to turn it off because you're being completely overwhelmed with a bunch of crap that you almost individually can't do anything about. Now, although I really, really enjoyed this song, I have to say there's one bit of the song that I find super cringy, which is this kind of like spoken word association thing near the end of the song. Exploitative, performative, rhetorical, deplorable. I feel like it was supposed to add this intensity to the song, but it just comes off like robotic and silly to me. The third track and third single of the album, Running Out of Time, is incredible. It is an incredible song. For one, the lyrics are super relatable. I think we can all relate to running out of time, especially if you suffer from ADHD like Hayley Williams has admitted to, or even me suffering from depression. Like, I feel that. I feel that a lot. I also love the guitars on this song because they're just constantly doing just like weird things. If you listen to the song on headphones, you can hear all these like little blips and like flourishes on the guitar. It's just like really captivating. The next song, C'est Comme Ça, it's like a direct copy of the dance punk that was very popular in the early 2000s. I'm thinking of like Block Party or Yeah Yeah Yeahs. I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of this song. I don't think it's terrible, but the chorus is just annoying to me. C'est comme ça, na 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 na. It's just not for me. I also feel obligated in bringing up that she talks about going to see her chiropractor in this song, and don't do that. Don't go see a chiropractor. Come on now. The album then slows down a bit for the song Big Man, Little Dignity. This song is a beautiful ballad about shitty men and how they always get away with it. I really like this song, especially from Hayley's perspective of dealing with a lot of the misogyny that existed in the emo genre when she was sort of like becoming more popular. I mean, if you look back at a lot of those bands, some of them have come out with, sexual assault allegations and harassment, and it's terrible that a lot of the bands that I enjoyed growing up all turned out to be shitty people. I mean, the song applies to a lot of men that you could probably think of in positions of power who have remain in those positions of privilege and power despite the fact that they're utterly terrible sex pests. Yeah, just a really, really heart-wrenching sort of song, but also beautiful. The next song, You First, follows this up by saying we all suck. Hayley sings, karma is going to come for us all, but she hopes it comes for you first. Now, I don't know who the you is in the You First, but someone clearly pissed her off. I do love the addition of the synths on this song, the very kind of like cool like little flourishes during the verse. But I also love like the beginning of the song and at other parts, there's like this weird string bendy thing on like wow, wow, wow on the guitar that is just like really cool sounding. The song Figure Eight begins with like chime sounds and these like wind instruments, although they're probably played on synths rather than actual wind instruments. It's kind of hard to tell nowadays. But it was a nice sort of like mix up on the album. I do feel that the lyrics on this song though are a bit general in that it sounds like it's just about a bad relationship, which is fine. I mean, we could all relate to that, having a bad relationship. But I feel compared to the rest of the songs, like it just didn't feel as impactful. It didn't hit as hard as some of the other ones. The track Liar is likely about Hayley reflecting on how she hid her true feelings from her now partner and bandmate Taylor York. And I realize this song is supposed to be sweet and sentimental, but I just find it kind of boring. Crave continues the sort of like romantic side of this album as Hayley is dealing more with like relationship issues. And again, like I'm not a huge fan of this song either. I think the chorus is big and fun, but the verses kind of drag, and compared to the first half of this record, like the nervous energy in the music is kind of gone. However, the last song, Thick Skull, does end on a higher note. It is again more of like a slow ballad, but it's about having to learn some of the lessons over and over again of your own failures. And, you know, again, very relatable. I can relate to this a lot. And Hayley's vocals in the chorus are just transcendent. I mean, one of the things that makes Paramore such a popular band is Hayley's vocals are just so powerful and she has such control over them. And like it is really showcased in this final song, Thick Skull. Even though there were a few songs on here I didn't love, I still think this album is like super well produced from start to finish and just has a lot of incredible tracks on it. So overall, like it might not be the perfect album, but it's still fantastic. You should still give it a listen. I personally would give this album an 8 out of 10. That's it. That's my second review. I think the plan going forward is I'm going to do reviews Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So expect the next one out on Friday.